What's up, NIO family? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the broader markets. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a big day as we have the FOMC minutes, what this means for the market moving forward. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Mumu link that's down below, or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Mumu and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvda stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of the stock. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvda. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks, so check out my links that are down below. Anyways, as far as NIO is going, as you guys can tell, we're just range bound. You're going back and forth between supply and demand. As we hit the low $5 area, 5 to 5.2, we tend to reject, and reject. But as we hit 4.5 or so, we do like to bounce, and bounce and bounce. So we're still stuck in the middle, at least for the time being. Now, there is a risk that NIO might return to the EMAs right here, and we have a gap to fill as well, back down to the 4.73 to 4.82 area. Then we'll see if we bounce off this or not, but overall, we're still dipping a bit. So remember that that's going to be very, very key. On top of this, when it comes to NIO, and NIO has announced their plans to enter different countries like Singapore, Costa Rica, and many other areas. This is awesome news, at least for them, which is going to help build more revenue. But for the time being, I don't think it's really enough to get the share price to break out of this range yet. I don't think we're ready yet. So you have to be very, very patient. What's helping NIO push is the Onvo L60 and the L90 models that have been coming out. I think this is very, very awesome. It's once again helping them see a lot more orders, and that's going to be very useful moving forward. And then on top of this, JP Morgan remain more neutral on NIO. That's why the share price is still kind of flat here. The price price ratio is going up a bit, though. We're building a little bit of strength. So why is tomorrow a big day for the markets? Well, tomorrow is going to be Wednesday in the morning. There's going to be very, very minor data. But at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the FOMC minutes. I expect some volatility once this comes out. This may cause a very, very big move, so be ready. The FOMC minutes are known for causing volatility, especially if we hear what the Fed officials have to end up saying. The fear and greed index is currently at greed. It's making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum is neutral for now. We're going to see if this bounces or not. The put to call option ratio is at extreme greed. And then we're also looking at the VIX, which is neutral as well. So right now, the market's in a more neutral phase despite the sell-off. We had some earnings come out. The Home Depot just announced their earnings. Unfortunately, that we saw them miss on EPS and revenue, but their guidance remained the same as before. It still caused the share price to dip a bit. However, Target and TJ Maxx are going to be announcing earnings tomorrow. And then we have for Thursday, Walmart and Ross. So be ready for all of those. We'll see what happens moving forward. For NIO, I do want to note that we're just range bound. As we hit the low 5s, we reject. As we hit 4.5, we bounce. And we've been going back and forth for quite a while. So could we push to about the low 5s, like 5 to 5.2? Yes. Then we could be tipping back down to 5.73, and we'll see if we bounce again. But overall, I do anticipate a bit of a downside move for NIO, and we could be retesting these EMAs, and we'll see if we bounce from here. I'm not seeing too much significant news, so for now, we're going to be very patient with this. SPY, on the other hand, ended up dipping quite a bit. We're barely holding 638, and if this fails us, we could easily fall for like 635 to 633. Now, we might get some kind of bounce attempt. We might attempt to bounce tomorrow with FOMC minutes coming out and such. We'll see if we get some kind of bounce move. But then I do think that as time goes on, if we make a lower high and we can't take out these highs, the market could be once again showing signs that's going to pivot back down, and we could be looking for a move right back down later on towards 635 to 633. So let's see if we could bounce tomorrow. I think there's a good chance we do attempt to do so. I want to see 638 hold for us to try to continue. Then we'll see if we end up dipping. For the QQQ, we dipped quite a bit all the way down to 568, which is where this resistance is becoming support. We could even like touch 566 to 568. Then we'll see if we rebound for like 573 or so before we continue to fall. But overall, the setup is more bearish. We'll see if we bounce first before continuing down, but we're still looking weak. For the IWM is showing some weakness. We're going to likely test 225, which is just 1 point lower. Then we'll see if we bounce back up towards like 228. If we make lower highs, we may continue to fall back down, so keep that in mind. ES has a head and shoulders like pattern. We could be retesting 64.46. And then we'll see if we get some kind of rejection move or not. We're going to likely test these EMAs before continuing to fall. So we'll give this the time it needs. For NQ, we're making lower highs as well. We're going to see if we get back above 23,500. If not, we're looking for 23,429. We could bounce a bit before we continue to fall back down towards 23,300 or below. Bitcoin as well, it's trying to push in the after hours. We're going to see if this tries to push up back up towards 114,000. Then we'll see if it rejects as well. Tesla, however, is showing some weakness. We're still in this like bull flag like structure. We're in a downtrend for the shorter term, and we're rejecting so far. We need to get back above 335 for the inverse head and shoulders pattern to pan out. If we can't, we're actually favoring 325 or below, back down to like 320, and we'll see if we bounce. So far, there is still some downside risk. On Nvidia, we got a rejection. Unless we get back above essentially 178, we're actually favoring a move back down to fill the gap around 173. We'll see if we bounce a bit before continuing to fall to 173, but there is still some downside risk. Apple is barely holding 230. We'll see if this holds. If not, we could be dipping to like 228, then 225. On other tickers like Supermicro, we're rejecting. We're going to see if we hold above 45. If not, we're looking for a move back down to 42.5. AMD is also dipping right here. We're going to see if we get back above 166. If not, we could be dipping back down to 160. For Coinbase, we're also rejecting here. We're going to see if we get back above 316. If not, we could be dipping to like 300 and 294. On Amazon, we could be retesting 226, and we'll see if we bounce. If not, we could be dipping to like 222. Meta is also favoring downside unless we get back above 760. We're favoring consolidation and a dip lower. We might be retesting this resistance, becoming support around 740. So watch 750 to see if it holds. If not, we're dipping to 740 flat. Google is rejecting off 203, might be retesting 202, and then eventually 200. Microsoft's on the downtrend, might bounce for like 512 before it continues to fall back down to like 505. So please remember that as well. The VIX also has an inverse head and shoulders like structure. As long as we're above 15.66, we're going to be favoring a pushback up to like the 16s. Be careful, guys. This could be a signal the market is about to see more downside. We'll see if the VIX comes down a little bit. Maybe the market tries to bounce in the morning, but then as time goes on, the next couple of days, I still think the VIX could start breaking out, and that could be a sign of weakness for the broader markets. So we'll see if we get a temporary bounce or not, depending on the FOMC minutes, but ultimately the charts are starting to favor downside, and NIO could also get dragged down. Although we're trying to hold above this area, we do love to reject near the low fives, and we could be looking for a move back down to like the gap fill around 4.8, or even a test of 4.73 to 4.82, which is where our 20 EMAs happen to be. With that being said, that's what I'm basically anticipating for just tomorrow. Keep in mind, this is just a short-term projection, and there could be so much more upside for the longer term, but we have to be more patient with that as we wait for NIO's profitability and other factors like that. It's better to be early. As the saying goes, the early bird gets the worm, right? You're going to get lots of gains, lots and lots of good prices if you're early. It's better to be early on NIO than waiting until it starts running to $8, $10 to start jumping in. We have lots of buying opportunities, so nobody should be complaining if this thing starts running to the 10s and the 20s the next like year or two. And if they want to start entering there, it doesn't make sense. We had so much time to be buying the dips when we had these warnings and such. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good one, and peace out.